Bringing skateboarding to gaming has been done since the 90s. The Tony Hawk Pro Skater series used to rule supreme during that time and the early 2000s. The arcadey, over-the-top mechanics found a place in many young hearts and still lives on to today in some form or another. Then came skate, session, ollie ollie. The genre has a lot of options to pick between in 2025. Still, virtual reality is an entirely new environment. How do you translate the feeling and mechanics of real-life skateboarding into VR? Is it even possible? SKATER VR is here to answer that question. Is it worth a look? I'm Vic in VR. This is Vic's Thoughts on Video Games. Let's have a look together at this very unique title. First of all, this game is much more realistic than other skating titles tend to be. I mean that in the broadest of terms and with a heap of soul, as there are still things here that are close to impossible on a real skateboard. Still, if you compare this to Tony Hawk Pro Skater, the feeling is much closer to the real deal. No insane combos going on for minute after minute, no 7-foot ollies or special tricks. Instead, SKATER VR tries to mimic skateboarding as it is in real life. Through a combination of hand motions and button presses, you're able to manipulate the board. Ollie by holding down a button and then releasing. Do a flip by holding down the button, then releasing while making a swooping motion. Swing your arms to push. Grab the board in midair to do, well, a grab. If you've ever touched a skateboard in real life, these motions will feel somewhat familiar. They make sense in this context, even though you're using your hand and fingers to do them instead of your legs and your feet. Getting the hang of this control system will take time, however, as there is really nothing like this in existence. No other game plays like this. All the motions and muscle memories will have to be learned starting from absolutely nothing. And there is so much you can do with your board in SKATER VR, it becomes mind-boggling. Total information overload. Trying to remember what button does what when you're in the thick of things is frankly impossible. You have to hone your skills until you can kind of feel things out before you'll be any good at this game. The game thus has both an incredibly high skill ceiling and floor, but given time, you'll naturally get better. It all depends on your willingness to learn. I feel that the controls are incredibly creative and work once you get the hang of it. Sometimes it still feels a little bit janky. For example, I have real trouble pulling off late finger flips. Nothing that can't be worked around, but expect to still be doing a bunch of face plants even after a couple of hours into it. Thankfully, there are a bunch of in-depth tutorials available which will teach you everything you need to know. In these, you cannot advance to the next step until you mimic the exact trick that the game is trying to learn you. This makes things very clear for a newcomer. On top of that, the tutorial section also includes a challenge mode, where your skills are really put to the test. Tutorials are available at any time, even after completing them. If you need a refresher at a later point, you can tackle whatever specific trick you're struggling with. Very handy, very accessible. A good choice for a game that is so different to play from anything that came before. You're given a set of challenges for each level, and these range from doing tricks in a specific spot, doing a run from one end of the level to the other, or are structured like a mission where you have to do specific tasks within a given time limit. Very familiar if you've ever played classic mode on Tony Hawk Pro Skater. Scores are graded with a bronze, silver or gold medal. Getting the high scores is what this game is all about, and getting them isn't easy and a true test of the game's unique control scheme and mechanics. Furthermore, the player is rewarded with experience points and unlocks in a customization shop. Here you can pimp up your board to your liking by changing grip tape, wheels, trucks, and board designs. A nice touch that gives getting the high scores an external reward beyond feeling awesome. Because getting a line right does feel absolutely awesome. You think of a series of tricks that give you a bunch of points or simply look cool, and try to execute whatever crazy shit you can come up with. Like skating in real life, you'll probably do a bunch of face plants before you get it right, but when you do, it feels so rewarding. Also, this game is an absolute workout. You have to make a bunch of big moves using your arms, and there's very little downtime once you get skating. If you're looking for a bit of variety in your virtual fitness routine, Skater VR is certainly an interesting option. There are 8 levels in the base game. The DLC Pro Tour adds a bunch more on top of that. The main levels are set up as long straights where you go from one end to the other. And although you're able to turn in a few ways, the focus is on building and maintaining forward momentum. The pro levels are much the same, but include a quarter pipe or ramp at the very end of both sides, enabling you to travel both forwards and backwards. If you're looking for true free roam, that ain't here, but the way the levels are set up are very beneficial to the expected player gameplay, which involves building up speed and holding on to it to be able to make it over and across any obstacles. I feel that the long runs that see you go from one end to the other are the most fun for me. You get to see most of the unique locations and have some freedom over which direction to go, which lines to pick, and which tricks to pull off. The tone and feel are a bit of a hit and a miss. In some ways, it touches upon skater culture but pulls its punches halfway through. First off, the soundtrack is a set list of absolute bangers. Punk rock is my jam, and I love the smaller bands that can be heard in this game, and it fits the tone of the game so very well. Levels feel like places a skater would realistically visit, excluding a few of the later ones that get a little more crazy and extreme. They all have a unique flavor, and if you include the DLC, I think there's plenty to do and accomplish here. Levels are a bit empty though. The biggest flaw, however, is the lifelessness of it all. There are no moving elements, no people, no cars driving around, no other skaters doing tricks. The world feels dead. Truly a video game level. It's serviceable but not inspired or breathing atmosphere or life. A real missed opportunity if you ask me. Now, I used to be a bit of a skater myself when I was younger. Never any good, mind you. Think a standing ollie, a heel flips, some manuals. That was the full repertoire. Still, even if I sucked at skateboarding, I still loved the culture. People were blasting my kind of music in skate parks. They looked like me, they talked like me. Most of all, they were welcoming. Doesn't matter if you were any good or not, regular looking or a bit weird, it was all fine. Do something cool, and the entire park would cheer for you. You were there together. This feeling of coming together is completely absent in Skater VR. If not for NPCs, the game could have allowed for some form of multiplayer to make this inherently social activity less of a lonely experience. The gameplay would be so cool if you could hang with other people, maybe try and mimic each other's lines, push each other to get better at it. That ain't here. The focus is purely on the technical aspect of skating, not the atmosphere, the culture, and the vibe of skateboarding. It's a skateboarding sandbox, not a story based adventure. Progression is a bit undermotivated. You unlock the next level by simply getting one bronze medal on the previous one, so you'll have all areas unlocked in no time. Except for getting gold medals for the sake of completing a challenge, all external incentives come in the form of unlocking customization options for the skateboard. Beyond that, there isn't anything to unlock, to aim for, to gain. So if you're not into the technical aspect of skateboarding or you need a lot of structure to have fun in the game, Skater VR can be a bit of a hard sell. Honestly, I think this first outing into hitherto uncharted territory is quite interesting. This platform holds a lot of potential for future installments. It could use more tricks, think half-pipe skating or alternative manual styles. It could use a bit more polish, both in the controls and the atmosphere. It could use some life and a multiplayer mode, more content, a more inspired campaign structure. Still, this experience is completely unique. Nothing feels quite like playing this game, and you won't find anything like it in the stores, which, as any VR owner knows, is mostly filled with first person shooters and puzzle games. The controls, although a bit janky at times and very hard to master, are one of a kind. It isn't a big game, but offers hours of enjoyment if it manages to hook you. If you have any fascination with skateboarding, or if you're looking for a game that is truly different from anything that came before, Skater VR might just be a game for you. And if you do bite the hook, line and sinker and all, go get yourself the Pro Tour DLC as well. It adds a few new levels with more challenges to beat and more stuff to unlock. Good for a few extra hours of skateboarding fun. SKATER VR was released in 2023 and is available on Steam, Meta, and PlayStation. Like always, all footage was recorded on the PlayStation VR 2 version of the game. Thanks for watching. If you spend time in SKATER VR, I'd love to hear about the best tricks you've landed or the most ridiculous glitches you've run into. And if you're a longtime fan of skateboarding games, let me know how you think SKATER VR stacks up against the Tony Hawk and Skate eras. And if you believe it has a future or is just simply a weird one-off. And as always, if you want more deep dives into VR games that aren't just reviews but really explore what makes them tick, you know what to do. Give me a like and a subscribe. That shit is my sustenance. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you at the next one.